I should say this word. Poggers.
Poggers, there you go. Yep.
All right. And welcome to Leftist Chill with iDanSimpson. I'm iDanSimpson. My guest today is my friend and co-host of Leftflix Chill, also which you can check out live on my Twitch channel as well as on YouTube. And this is my good friend, Rob Kristjansson. Rob, how you doing today? Good to be with you, buddy.
Pretty darn good. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yo, it's really good to be with you. We get to chat each week about movies, but what we don't get to do is really get to talk about, each other. And so I sort of wanted to do that and give myself an opportunity to get to know, all my streaming friends and whatnot. And obviously you're there at the top of the list. So I'm happy you were able to make some time for me. Thank you very much. What I'd love to do is talk a little bit about you and your pathway to leftism. But actually, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. Rob, is there anything like on your mind that you've just been that's been catching your attention? Anything you want to talk about? Topical, in the news, politics, etc. What's on your mind these days?
That's a tough one.
Okay. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to prepare.
Okay, there's one thing bugging me.
All right.
And this is a hot take that I gave in a show, on my show, not last night or not Sunday night, but the week before that. I made a cheap shot about how Canada had given up its ability to produce mRNA vaccines. It happened about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It was a conservative government here in Canada. Okay. And it was one of those, because we can trust the Americans. They'll hook us up in times of need. And of course they screwed us. And wait, it gets worse. So
but wait, there's
I'm
more.
like, but of course, then it's like, first of all, there's a couple of things happen. One, my co-host, most of our audience is American.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pretty obviously Jim, I'd call him center left. I'm left as Canadians. So no one's shocked or anything. But at the same time, it seemed kind of crass also to identify it as American. And then somebody made the smart remark in the chat about, make Canada great again because of the horseshit promises Trump was making. And here's the thing. It's been bugging me ever since, in part because even my comment is wrong. My original comment is wrong, in part because there are plenty of American producers of this kind of vaccine be more than happy and have stated it as boldly as this. You betcha we could look at that. I mean, we'd have to look at the whole Canadian drug policy, which really means sticking a crowbar into our controlled negotiation over drug prices and cracking that open. So we can be as miserable as most Americans are in their drug buying, which is where you're basically just prey for big pharma. And several months ago, I'd said, you know what? If we got to wait, if part of it is we don't have this production capacity and we have to wait, I'm willing to pay that price because our current system works for us. It's one of the reasons why I grew up as a working class poor Canadian, but working class poor Canadian is not the same as working class poor, say, Texan. And I'm not making I'm definitely thinking, I'll take Canadian poverty over Texan poverty.
Right. I mean, if you had to choose.
Yeah, if I'm stuck choosing, I'll pick Canadian poverty because I've never grown up a day in my life that I've worried about healthcare. Never once. And that has been, I am the benefactor of a lot of collective trade union action, collective action, left-wing action on that subject. And at times shameless, the New Democratic Party, which is our kind of social democrat party here in Canada, shameless holding the balance of power and getting paid for it. And paid in the way that counts to me and other working folks, right? So there you go. That was really bugging me because even now I'm like, God damn it. I had a better answer for this. So there you are. This is way off topic.
There's no topic. Yeah.
But
Perfect.
you asked, and that was what was bugging me.
Exactly. I'm happy I asked. I am. I sort of wanted to create a little space for folks to, I don't know, blow off some steam. And I'm happy you did.
Well, and
So,
thank you very much. That
a
feels so good that
little
I got
cathartic.
to kind of, a little cathartic. And if I get pushback on it, hopefully this will end up on YouTube. I'll just do a little time code thing and say, I believe I made my answer here. Go check out Leftist and Chill. My
you go.
definitive comment can be
Yeah.
found at timecode reference.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining me today, Rob Kristjansson. What we're going to do is dig into the one-on-one interview we have prepared here for my leftist and left-adjacent friends, and be them streamers, content creators, organizers, or maybe even politicians, activists down the road as well. First thing I'd like to do is go ahead and give you a really quick opportunity to give yourself the 30-second shout-out, let folks know what you do and where they can find you.
Well, right now, as an extremely underemployed special events consultant, I basically hang out on YouTube, on my own channel, YouTube/C/Rob Kristjansson, and me and a buddy, Jim, we overanalyze movies once a week. We pick a movie, we watch the movie, we talk a lot about the movie. On top of that, I do have some other kind of wrapped around pop culture and film, especially kind of a leftist view, even when reviewing film. What is its message? What is its political content, whether it be in front of the camera, what we see on the screen, or behind the camera, who's making it. So there's my pitch, baby.
Yeah. So how did you, let's talk about sort of how you got to this place. How do you get to a place where you're making content from a leftist perspective? Do you mind go ahead and giving us a little bit of a few minutes, if you like, as much time as you like, honestly, Rob. Although I do have a hard stop at the top of the hour. I do have another interview. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I'm so sorry about that, Rob.
Oh, good.
So, explain
My
to
own
us
fault for being late.
It's no problem. It was just a moment there. So generally on the channel, we define leftism as anti-capitalist, but it's broader than that. There are intersectional issues that we're concerned about as well as leftists, as we find. But however you define it, or if you don't even identify as a leftist, how do you reach the place where you are now, sort of in that political space, and how do you get to the place where you're making that kind of content? You decide that you have to wedge the leftist viewpoint in there. How do you get here? How does one?
Okay, my general political view would be, I definitely call myself a leftist.
Okay.
I would put myself pretty far on the spectrum, even locally here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I would say a lot of my worldview is a Marxist worldview.
Okay.
Small m, not necessarily coming from an academic background. I was taught it at home. I learned it where you're supposed to learn politics, at home. My father,
Really?
when I was from about 12 to 15, I would get these mini lectures from my dad, who is a radical trade unionist. He was radicalized in the steelworkers up in Thompson, a mining town in the far north of Manitoba, the province I live in. And that was solidified by his time in the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. And so that's where I got my worldview. And even though I have been, I'm a pretty slack activist. On occasion, I'm hardly active at all. That said, I've always found that when things are really frustrating me, when I'm going, what am I on fucking crazy pills here? I find that Marxist class analysis, that class consciousness and that class analysis always allows me to kind of make sense of the world, where the power players really are, what's really going on, where I can kind of go, wait a sec, I'm getting screwed here, and I know why. And I can see who my allies are, who's on this, I know what side of the fence I'm on. And with Marxist analysis, I can identify who's there with me. Whether they recognize that or not, I can kind of go, nope, these folks are on my side. That's the bad guy, the bad class, the bad owner, whatever. So that from a general perspective. Specifically, when it comes to film, I really just love movies. And our whole show wasn't so much a political act, at least not consciously, overtly. It was how do I put this down? Like, we just love movies. It's what we used to do. We'd go out, see a movie, talk about it. But once we started doing it on, like, for others, it was like, these are thoughts I've always had. I've always kind of analyzed the politics of a film, not just its fatherhood theme or like the standard, let's say, bourgeois view of things, but to look at it from a working class perspective and a Marxist perspective. And I thought this is a great way to formalize that, to put it in our show without, at the same time, because I'm sure we've all heard that. We've all been to those meetings where they're almost like ascetics, the Puritans, where it's like, boy, you really know how to suck the fun out of everything, buddy. I'm not saying, kind of an Emma Goldman. What do you mean I can't dance? This sucks. So does that give you an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. You were grappling with Marxism at a young age. That's something I look at and I'm jealous of. I've heard of, places like Vietnam where they're literally teaching Marxism in the schools, and they have textbooks that are, it's sort of explicitly Marxist in one way, shape, or another. And I look at that and I just look at how I was brought up, and I feel like I was let down by the adults of the world yet again.
What do you think some of it? I mean, it's not as, most of the world acknowledges Marx. It's not that odd or obscure. It only seems to be in North America that, and when I say, and actually I shouldn't say North America, because even Mexico, they celebrate May Day as International Workers' Day. The Mexico is not unaware of Marx. It has a working class consciousness. A lot of other reasons why Mexico has the Mexican working class has challenges. A lot to do with its immediate northern neighbor. But if you look at the United States and Canada, where we're very similar, is we think of Marx as a dirty word. We probably some of the strongest. Like general, all elites agree communism is bad, all that stuff. But the rest of the world acknowledges he's an important thinker and somebody to be acknowledged, and that he has, that his thought, his analysis, something to say about capitalism.
Fascinating, buddy. Let's move along.
You bet. Sorry, that got a little pedantic, eh?
No, never, not at all. There's nothing wrong here.
Okay.
I mean to skip this next section, and I'd like to go ahead and move along to what I call be best. Be best. So if you could maybe speak to a younger version of yourself, maybe, to help a younger version of yourself, maybe you could go back in time. Maybe that's not the analogy we should be thinking of. Maybe a younger version of yourself that's in the chat right now, someone who'd be watching this, who could maybe pull some good advice. What's something you could share with someone like that? Something to help them maybe skip some steps in their life. Something maybe to help them along on their leftward journey. What do you think?
That's a great question. Don't be afraid of thinking about your material interest. Your employer, maybe it's a better way of saying it. Don't vote as the rich do, but vote like they do. The rich are really good at rallying their vote around their interests. And so if you're thinking about where you're going to place your vote, what you're going to be actively behind, look at the rich and go, well, you know what? My interests aren't the same. What are my interests? Probably having to do with more time and doing less work for it. And that is not an evil thing. Why shouldn't we have more time off? Why shouldn't we have more benefits? We're the ones doing it all anyway. So yeah, vote like the rich do, but not as the rich do. Does that make any sense?
I like that very much so. I think that makes a lot of sense, Rob.
So yeah, that would be I wish I could have explained it in that practical a way when I was arguing about the benefits of communism when I was a kid. And just saying, listen, just the rich have specific interests that are not your interests. Vote in your interests. Vote like the rich do.
Right. I think we could learn some organizing tips from the rich.
Absolutely.
I'm very much into the dinner parties and meetings with friends. I want to do more drinking with my socialist and commie friends personally. Those of us who do drink, excuse me. I like that very much, Rob. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm sad to say that I only have one more section left, but that doesn't mean we have to wrap it up. We can keep chatting after it. But the last portion of our interview today is called The Leftist Inquisition. And this is Bernard Pivot's questionnaire that I've only slightly changed for my purposes. And I'd like to begin that with you now, comrade. Okay.
Sounds good.
It's a lot of fun. So, starting with question number 1. Rob Kristjansson, what is your favorite word?
Solid.
Solid.
That's the one that comes to mind right now. Solid. I love referring to things as solid. He's solid. She's solid. That was a solid take. I really like that word. It's solid. It's got good mouth feel.
Ooh, yeah.
That doesn't mean it'll be my favorite word tomorrow, but you're asking me right now. Right now, solid.
It's a solid answer.
It's the root of solidarity.
Ooh.
Right?
See what you've done there, sir.
On point, aren't I?
Perfect.
Anyway.
Rob, what's your least favorite word?
Scab.
Scab.
And again, given the context, that's what's coming to mind.
We actually have the new emote, Comrade Scabby.
This is another one. Think.
Think?
Think.
I've never heard that.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. F-I-N-K? Maybe
Yeah.
Am I not enunciating it properly?
Oh,
Think.
an unpleasant
F-I-N-K.
or contemptible person, yeah?
Yes.
Oh.
A think.
I think so. All right. That's terrible. All right. Next up, Rob, what is your favorite drug? And I'd like for you to interpret that any way you like.
No, I've got an answer. I can't say weed anymore. I'm one of those guys who I enjoyed it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Now, and it's been a number of years now since last time I got high. I get too high now.
Yeah.
Like I get so high that the second I'm high, I'm like, I don't want to be high anymore.
No.
So I would say nowadays, it's I love a nice wine. I love a nice beer in the right context. My daily driver, though, is I have 2 flat white coffees in the morning. That is my daily drug. I love the whole thing about coffee. I'm one of those pseudo hipsters. I buy the beans. I grind the beans. I love the whole ritual of making coffee. It's not just the taste on the day. It's everything that led up to it. Yeah. So I know I should be saying caffeine, but I want to say coffee because there's so much more to it's just like it's not alcohol. You don't like alcohol. You like a glass of wine because there's just so much more going on in a glass of wine than alcohol. So there you go.
Wait,
Daily driver.
I'm not supposed to like alcohol? I didn't know I wasn't supposed to like it.
I think you can. No, I'm saying you can't that can't be the favorite. It's the thing it comes in.
Okay. All right.
There's a reason why we don't just drink straight
out, yeah.
alcohol.
Ethanol.
That's not a thing for a reason unless you're deeply in trouble.
Yeah. All right. Got a couple more here. Lots
bet.
more here. What is a sound or a noise, Rob, that you love?
Boy, that's a good one. I do love. Oh, excuse me.
No problem.
Actually, a solid belch.
Yeah.
A good
Yeah.
sneeze.
Ooh, a good
You know what? Like where
sneeze.
you're really giving it body and everything. I feel so relieved afterwards, even right down to the sound. You know, either a phone call that is a pleasant surprise,
Yeah.
or one that is looked forward to. You know, the ring of that phone call that you're looking forward to. Think of, you're getting a call back from the object of your the objet d'art, the object of your love, whatever, your your lover. You know, that getting that call back. That's a great sound. You know, the kind that just kind of gives you a jolt. So there you go.
I like that. I like how you've given a layer to that. It's not just the sound. It's like what you're doing, like who you are in the moment. That's wonderful.
Thank
All right,
you.
how about a sound or noise that you hate?
You could almost flip
Yeah.
that sound around. Who the hell likes a call from a collection agent?
Yeah.
The call you don't want, but I'll let me give you something better than that, or at least different than that. Actually, you know what? Can we come back to that one? I'm having a tough one on that.
I'll try to remember. Remind me if I forget.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah. That's
we'll
fine.
let them all, but let me,
if
we can move to the
plant
next
that
one.
seed. We'll come back.
Yeah.
Rob, what's your favorite curse word? No slurs, please.
Oh,
Don't get
for
me banned.
fuck's sake. I don't know. Fuck. Fuck.
Yeah.
Is a solid word. The F sharp.
Solid.
And you can deliver it in so many ways. It's
flexible.
Fuck. Or for fuck's sakes. Fuck. Like I've delivered the same word 3 different ways. Everyone goes that you could think of different meanings, different times you can use it. That's a pretty versatile curse word.
It can also be nearly every word of a sentence. Fuck the fucking fuckers. It's very flexible.
Fuck that fucking fucker. Fuck.
Okay.
Yeah. The F sharp. Great curse
The F
word.
sharp. Rob, if you had to choose, if they left it up to you and you had to choose somebody, who would you put on a new banknote?
Okay. I'm gonna say Louis Riel.
Okay. I don't.
This is a Métis. Métis. Let's say it's not. It is mixed. Indigenous and French, early French settlers and French voyageurs traders within Manitoba, Saskatchewan, what used to be called Rupert's Land, which was basically a corporate-owned country before Canada became a Western country, a nation state. He is one of the reasons Canada is not American, and without casting any aspersions or anything, he established the provisional government of Manitoba, and Central Canada, white Canada, British English Canada, made sure he suffered for it. He led a couple of rebellions, all about Indigenous and Métis land rights, hunting rights. He was a first member of Parliament for Manitoba, and they had to they were going to arrest him when he got to Ottawa, which is why he never went to fulfill his legal. Yeah, Louis Riel. I'd love to see Louis Riel. Like here in Winnipeg, there's a part of Winnipeg that's it's called St. Boniface, and Franco-Manitoban part of of Winnipeg, home of the largest Francophone community in Canada, west of Quebec. And there, his grave in front of the St. Boniface Cathedral, and he's still referred to as president of the Provisional Government of Manitoba. And that is such a political statement right here in our that's not the same, but it's something Canada's had such a hard time coming to grips with certain portions of its history. And so, yeah, I think putting Louis Riel, who some still, because, well, like some people who still believe in the lost cause down in your neck of the woods, some people write Louis Riel off as a traitor. And I think he was like a patriot in the best sense of the word, who makes my Anglo life better because of what he and certain Métis who weren't going to be taken advantage of, or did their best not to be screwed by English Canada. So, yeah, there you go.
Louis
Upper
Riel.
Canada stated. Louis Riel.
There's
learned
more
about
somebody new.
Canadian history than anyone ever wanted.
No, that was great. I want more of it. Super happy I give myself the opportunity to chat about that. Louis Riel. Okay, moving along in the Leftist Inquisition. How about what profession other than those of your own that maybe you've tried in your life would you not like to attempt? What profession?
Oh. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was a child.
Yeah.
And like when I was a small child, when you're trying on, I also wanted to be a fire truck, because you really don't have a grip on what jobs are.
Right.
Oh, excuse me.
I want to be a
I
hot
would
dog.
say, though, looking now, it's like, yeah, I have regrets in my life. I am 53. I do not regret not following a lawyer. I do not regret not becoming a lawyer. I say that as though it would have been so easy for me, but you know what I mean? Like there's something. As far as a job goes, like just a working class stiff thing, I am so glad I didn't get into mining or, there's some truly awful fucking jobs out there even now. There's not that long ago, we had some poor kid doing work for his uncle's paving company who was killed because he got caught under a load of hot asphalt, and he's like a teen. And it's things like that where it's like, how can this happen in this day and age? Like it's within the last 10 years, local story, and
terrifying.
But I suspect everyone watching this in the future, knows those stories and goes, that kid never should have died that way. And if you're in rural Canada, rural United States, just change asphalt or whatever other miserable thing that can happen on a construction site or in a factory with the thresher. Our willingness to put a child at risk. I'm so glad. And I would not want to do that. Yeah, where you're putting your life at risk for no money. Like it always, all these shit jobs with high risk always seem to come with such poor wages. Not to say that high wages justify high risk, but you know what I mean, eh? So there you go.
To me, it sounds like you don't believe in the free market. And that means you don't believe in freedom.
I don't believe in freedom.
Freedom.
Well, I do believe in freedom from want of worrying about medical bankruptcy. A big believer in that.
That's a fair. That's a good one. How about did I ask this if you were reincarnated? I'm sorry. Go on. Did I already ask this in my head? I think we were just talking about the profession. Next up, did you have something else to say though? I'm sorry.
No. You keep rolling, brother.
All right. Love your face. Moving on. If you were reincarnated as some other plant or animal, what would that be?
Oh, it's got to be a cat. There's a sweet
Yeah.
gig.
Yeah.
Sleeping 23 half hours a day. You're actually an environmental horror, and people will, because only. No, they just love that little bird so much. Yeah, no, cat's got to be the sweetest gig. You know, a poor dog rolling around in its own filth,
Oh my
you
gosh.
know,
Disgusting.
just so grateful that you're around when you're
Yeah.
around. Whereas a cat, it's like, so anyway, I'm going to lie here and then I'm going to lie there and whine about what I'm eating. And there you
No,
go. Yeah.
they're so
there you go.
cute. They're so cute. If cats were as ugly as rats, we wouldn't like them as much. It's purely
Yeah,
because they're adorable.
Absolutely. Much. My father used to say to my mother, and this is in front of me and my brothers,
Yeah.
Joan, we should have drowned them at birth. It's like, Dad, it's Christmas. We're right here.
It's
I know.
Christmas. It's Christmas. This is a Wendy's drive-through, whatever bit. Rob, okay, one more question.
Yep, shoot.
Hey, Rob, if heaven and God exist, what would you like to hear them say when you arrive at your version of the pearly gates?
Oh, that's pretty easy. So, as an atheist, let's say you're up there, final judgment.
Holy!
This is what I'd be hoping for. I'd be hoping for the, looking at me and kind of going, all right. That's what I'd be hoping for. That's what I'd want him to say. Just shrug his shoulders and,
Yeah.
all right, come on in.
Yeah, honestly, that tells me everything I need here. So I'm like, okay, you were paying attention. All right. Number one, you exist.
You're in a total dick.
Holy
I
shit.
can forgive.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah, be like, you could forgive me, God, but I'm not going to forgive you, all right? Oh, take that one, God. I don't believe in you.
Yeah, no, I'd just be straight up like, awesome.
Awesome. So before we wrap up the interview and I send you on your merry way, we can continue the leftist inquisition and allow you to turn the questions on me. Did you have any questions for me? Anything off the top of your mind or prepared? Whatever you have.
I'd love to hear about, what's your story? Where did you come to, what's your political story? But, weave it in with who is Dan Simpson?
Oh,
I'd like to know,
who am I? Yeah, good shit right there. Getting existential already, aren't we? Who am I? I would say, grew up in the suburbs. I became political throughout high school and started shifting ever so slowly left, but I didn't have any good way of measuring how far left I was going, and I didn't really move that far. I would get very passionate about politics and clearly point out the problem of I say Republicans, and being able to point that out very easily, but still getting pushback from my family. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? So they're like Republican voters, right? But they're not far right Q. But at the same time, they look at the left. I'm sorry. I'm not fucking this up. They look at Democrats and they think that Democrats are the left, and that was sort of my context. That's how I falsely understood the world. And as I would slowly move away from that discussion, I would allow space for new discussions, such as about capitalism itself, and being able to take all of these things that I've been looking at. Huge person. I love watching documentaries. So, the fucking Michael Moores of the world sort of helped spark that off. Lots of other types of documentaries along the way got me going. But I didn't realize that was lib shit until recently, where I, looked at COVID, what was happening with COVID. I looked at what was happening with the police. I looked at what was happening with just, Trump and everything for the past, 4 years after Bernie lost to Hillary, and then Bernie lost to Bernie losing to Biden was, I don't know if it's fair to call it a nail in the coffin, but just another red flag that we're going to have to save us from ourselves because they're not. So in along the way, I had to sort of force myself to look at all of these different things that I've seen throughout my life, different people like John Oliver, John Stewart, Stephen Colbert, etc. Those types, all sort of pointing at the problem, but they're sort of pointing like around the problem. They're pointing at like side effects of the problem, and I think they're still doing it to that extent. They're not really looking at the center of a lot of those problems, which isn't always capitalism, but oftentimes it is, and it sort of makes me a little disappointed. So I sort of found myself I use this analogy where I was like riding a moving walkway, and it moved me as far left as the pipeline would allow me. And at that point, I would have to ask myself some questions, mainly whether or not capitalism could be reformed. Once I was convinced that capitalism was the problem, could it be reformed? No, I don't believe so. So I believe we need another form of revolution, and I'm looking forward to the next form of society that we can build. Socialism is an evolution from capitalism, which is an evolution from serfdom, and I think we'll eventually find, hopefully, doubt it in my lifetime, but I still believe in harm reduction in my lifetime. That's why I still stay active. I doubt it'll happen in my lifetime, but socialism will lead to communism, and hopefully maybe skip a couple steps along the way. But I just think that we look at this world, we see the problems of the world, we see that capitalism is at the center of almost all of those. A huge, I don't want to say almost all, a huge portion of some of our world's biggest problems, and we need to address it. We need to do a Marx. We need to propagandize the problems of capitalism, propagandizing, not being manipulative in the sense that I'm trying to twist reality, but I'm just sharing political, information.
Education.
That propaganda, just literally that basic definition of propaganda. And so that we can, build enough of a movement and get the fucking support that we need to start making some headway in the electoral game, which is not everything, but we need to. I don't know. I don't know what the way is. I'm new to leftism, but I feel strongly that it needs to be dismantled yesterday, and we're just going to continue to feel the same problems until we do. And it's really nothing deep from me, but really, again, the thing that was big for me was like, am I convinced that capitalism can be reformed or not? Mm-hmm. At one point, I sort of think I believed it could be reformed. And I think I was a sock dem at that point. And then at some point, I stopped believing that. And I think I've sort of shifted super far left ever since then.
Yeah. Well, it's a paradigm shift, isn't it? It's a worldview shift.
Well, you said paradigm. That's a $5 word. You actually used it in a sentence?
And I appropriately.
Checks in the mail.
Like, I
well
think
done.
that's... It's not even using it. I don't think it's, oh, look at this opportunity to say paradigm.
Yeah, you nailed it. It was actually really good.
I think what you're talking about is that paradigm shift doesn't necessarily be, oh, I've really moved forward. It's like, no, you're just looking at the world differently now. Your frame of reference is fundamentally different. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to refer to my old man, who I have a very complicated relationship. Yes, my political view comes from him, but he is a man of his time and all the drama that comes with that. Yeah. That said, I remember once, and I was complaining about something. I was very younger. He's like, Robert, the problem you have is you have an analysis, and the people you're around don't. And it really kind of sunk into, it took me a while to really get what that means. And it's not like you've gone really left or really crazy or anything, no. But you do have there's a paradigm shift in your worldview, and a lot of folks that are around haven't made that. It was interesting. I do take some pleasure from seeing Stephen Colbert, like some of these, like it blows my mind that what are cultural, let's say cultural bellwethers are so unified critical of Trump and of the Republican Party. Kind of blows my mind because I wouldn't have seen that couldn't have imagined that world 10 years ago, never mind 20 and 30.
Trump tried to take advantage of that, but go on, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's part of the crisis in capitalism that is going on in the United States of America right now. what's fascinating, though, and you're absolutely right, is they are, every single one of them, still thinking we just need to reform our system. It's part of the reason why I have a little bit of sympathy for some in American mainstream media, Canadian mainstream media, where they really are struggling with we know we're watching a horror show, but what can we do? Because they're limited by their worldview. They don't think they can do anything else because they're trapped in a worldview that says everything's okay. We just have a few bad actors. Whereas it sounds like you and me, we're outside of that worldview. We're going, it's not the actors. I mean, you can't look at Trump as anything other than the most obvious huckster. You and I, though, see where it's like, no, but it isn't the actor, it's the system. It'll always, every now and then, it'll allow a ding dong like this to run the show. But even the best of them, at best they can do is mitigate some of the worst excesses. But they're not making anything better. They're not going to make great change for us all. All that comes from below. Like, and there's one thing where I think, well, revolution is the long-term solution, let's say. Right now, we can still be active for practical day-to-day things that will make our lives better, because there's just too many examples of grassroots work even within capitalism. And it doesn't mean they accepted capitalism. They just said, God damn it, we need fucking healthcare. Or God damn it, we need parental leave. God damn it, we need this, and we're going to go and get it. If it's capitalism that's given to us, sure. And I draw a great deal of comfort from that and hope for the future, because when the working class does get its shit together and kind of goes, fuck it, what do we need? Moves mountains. It gets what it needs. Once it actually kind of gets its crap together and agrees on what it needs, which is why, circling back to the beginning, if I could have told anyone anything when I was much younger, was vote like the rich do, in your interest. Mm-hmm. Quit thinking, though, that the rich have your interests at heart. Oh, there's a reason they're fucking rich, is they keep the money.
Dude, yeah. It's theft.
Sorry, that's a really long rambling spiel, but
you never need to be sorry, but I know that you're Canadian and you can't help it. You're beautiful. I'm going to say we have 2 minutes left, and I'm going to have to let you go.
Okay.
It's been so fun chatting with you so far. Anything else? Anything left on your mind? This has been a lot of fun.
See if I can come up with a noise. Yeah. Okay, right. Here.
All right,
it's
your
lame,
least favorite noise.
Because I'm pouring myself some off-brand, local off-brand soda water.
Yeah.
Nothing worse. God, I hate that sound. When you open up something that's carbonated, brand new, and you open it up and you don't hear or you hear a really weak.
Yeah.
Oh. It's a weak one.
It's so depressing. It's like,
it's just like,
that's not what I want.
Kidding me? Or you didn't tighten it down properly and you open, and there's just this barest hint of fizz left, and you're like, nothing more depressing, nothing more flaccid. There's a shitty word. Ugh.
All right.
No good mouthfeel there.
Perfect bougie way to end the chat. Rob, we were trying to have a leftist chat, and you're talking about how your sparkling water's flat. No, I'm honestly obsessed with sparkling water. I sparkle my own water.
Nothing too good for the working class, my friend.
I'm going to teach you how to sparkle your own water. You need to seize the means of sparkling production.
I actually,
flaccid water.
It went the way of the dodo. There's technical difficulties. I did have one of those.
I built my own. I'm going to show you how to build one.
Shut up. Really?
No. Yeah, $150 of parts. And then you just got to fill up the tank. And then the tank lasts me about 3-4 months. All right, I'll teach you later.
Wow. Okay, I want to know. I want to see that YouTube video.
Rob,
Comrade, you got to hook us up.
Of course, Comrade. Comrade Rob, thank you so much for being with me today here on Leftist and Chill.
Thanks for having me, brother.
You were a wonderful guest, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you next week on Leftist and Chill. That's every Monday at roughly 10:30 a.m. each week, and we do a no spoilers review show of a different movie each week, and it's a lot of fun. And this next week we're talking about Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's right, brother.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Rob.
All right, man.
Love your face.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. Oops. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.